What's up, Lakers Nation, and welcome back to Lakers News Fan Report, your ultimate destination for breaking news, insider analysis, and all the latest updates on our beloved Los Angeles Lakers. I'm here to bring you the most important information you need to know about the purple and gold, and trust me when I say what I'm about to share with you today could fundamentally change the trajectory of our entire season. Before we dive deep into this story, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications because you're not going to want to miss a single update as we approach what could be one of the most critical periods in recent Lakers history. Now, let me tell you something that's been keeping me up at night, and it should be on every Lakers fan's mind right now. We've got a problem, and it's not going away on its own. The San Antonio Spurs just exposed something that many of us have been worried about for weeks. They didn't just beat us. They completely dismantled our defensive scheme and made us look like a team that doesn't belong in championship conversations. That game was a wake-up call, a brutal reminder that despite having two of the greatest players to ever touch a basketball in LeBron James and Anthony Davis, we're vulnerable in ways that elite teams simply cannot afford to be. The Western Conference is absolutely loaded with young, athletic, explosive teams that can run you off the court if you don't have the personnel to match their energy and intensity. We're talking about squads like the Thunder, the Timberwolves, the Nuggets, teams that have length, versatility, and defensive prowess at multiple positions. Right now, the Lakers don't have enough of that, and it's becoming painfully obvious with each passing game. Here's where things get really concerning, and I need you to understand the gravity of this situation. Rich Paul, who represents LeBron James and is one of the most powerful agents in the entire NBA, recently went on record with some comments that should alarm every Lakers fan. He told Max Kellerman that he doesn't believe the Lakers have enough to reach the Western Conference Finals. Let that sink in for a moment. LeBron's own agent is publicly stating that this roster, as currently constructed, doesn't have the pieces necessary to compete at the highest level. Paul specifically mentioned that the Lakers' style of play will be very easy to defend once we get into the playoffs, where schemes tighten up, rotations shorten, and every possession becomes a chess match. That's not just casual criticism. That's a direct assessment from someone who has insider knowledge and understands exactly what championship-level basketball requires. Now, before we all panic, let me provide some context here. Rich Paul isn't saying these things to be negative or to undermine the team. He's being realistic, and frankly, his assessment aligns with what we've been seeing on the court. The Lakers have shown flashes of brilliance this season, absolutely. LeBron is still performing at an incredibly high level for someone his age, and Anthony Davis has been dominant when healthy. But basketball isn't played with just two players. It's a five-man game, and right now, we don't have enough defensive versatility and athleticism throughout our rotation. When you look at our roster, we have Marcus Smart and Rui Hachimura as solid defenders, but that's only 2 out of 9 rotational players who can consistently guard at a high level. That's simply not enough when you're facing teams with multiple scoring threats and dynamic offensive systems. The good news, and this is where things start to get really interesting, is that Rob Pelinka knows exactly what the problems are, and he's not sitting idle. The trade deadline is approaching, and all indications suggest that the Lakers are going to be extremely active in trying to upgrade this roster. Pelinka has been in constant communication with teams around the league, evaluating what's available, what it would cost to acquire impact players, and how to structure deals that make sense both financially and from a basketball perspective. This isn't a general manager who's content to stand pat and hope things magically improve. He understands that LeBron's championship window is closing, that we can't waste another season of his greatness, and that decisive action needs to be taken if we want to maximize our chances of competing for banner number 18. Let me take you inside the strategic thinking that's happening right now within the Lakers organization. When you're trying to build a championship contender, You need to identify your weaknesses and find players who specifically address those deficiencies. Our biggest weakness is obvious: perimeter defense and versatility. We need players who can guard multiple positions, who have the length and athleticism to stay in front of quick guards and switch onto bigger wings, and who bring that defensive intensity every single night. We need guys who make life difficult for opposing scorers, who disrupt passing lanes, who communicate on defense, and help organize our schemes. Those players are incredibly valuable in today's NBA, and they don't become available very often. But when they do, you have to be aggressive in pursuing them because opportunities like this don't come around frequently. There's one name that keeps coming up in trade discussions, one player who fits exactly what the Lakers need, and one situation that could potentially work for both teams involved. I'm talking about a defensive specialist who plays for a team that's currently struggling mightily and might be heading toward a full rebuild. This player brings elite perimeter defense, incredible versatility, the ability to guard positions 1 through 4, and a competitive intensity that would immediately upgrade our roster. He's not a high-usage offensive player, which is actually perfect for our system since we already have plenty of scoring with LeBron and AD. What he provides is exactly what we're missing: lockdown defense, length, athleticism, and the kind of two-way impact that championship teams absolutely need. Before I reveal who this player is, let me explain why the timing of this potential trade makes so much sense. The New Orleans Pelicans are having a disastrous season, sitting at 3-22 and showing no signs of turning things around. They've dealt with injuries, poor chemistry, and a roster that simply isn't working. When a team falls that far out of playoff contention, especially one with valuable assets, they typically start listening to trade offers and considering what kind of return they can get for their better players. This is called going into sell mode, and all indications are that New Orleans is heading in that direction very soon. When that happens, the Lakers need to be ready to pounce, and according to multiple reports, they're preparing to do exactly that. NBA reporter Evan Sidery recently posted some information that got my attention and should excite every Lakers fan. He stated that the Los Angeles Lakers will pursue a specific Pelicans player on the trade market once New Orleans officially enters sell mode. Sidery mentioned that after pursuing Andrew Wiggins throughout the summer, which obviously didn't materialize, the Lakers are now gearing up to aggressively chase this player using expiring contracts and future draft capital. The fact that the Lakers are willing to use future draft picks tells you how serious they are about upgrading this roster right now. Rob Pelinka isn't thinking about 3 or 4 years down the road. He's focused on maximizing this championship window while we still have LeBron James playing at an elite level. So who is this player that could transform our defense and give us the versatility we desperately need? I'm talking about Herb Jones, the 6'7" wing defender who has established himself as one of the premier perimeter defenders in the entire NBA. Jones brings everything we're looking for: elite defensive instincts, incredible length with a 7'2", wingspan, the ability to guard positions 1 through 4, high basketball IQ, and that competitive fire you need in playoff basketball. He's not going to demand the ball offensively. He's not going to disrupt our system. But what he will do is make life absolutely miserable for opposing scorers. Imagine having Herb Jones guarding the other team's best perimeter player every single night. Imagine the versatility he would give our defensive schemes, allowing us to switch everything and not worry about mismatches. That's the kind of impact he would have immediately. Let me break down Herb Jones's defensive profile because I want you to understand just how special he is on that end of the floor. Since entering the league, Jones has been one of the most disruptive defenders in basketball. He consistently ranks among the league leaders in deflections. He has the lateral quickness to stay in front of elite guards. He has the strength to body up bigger wings, and he has the length to contest shots and get into passing lanes. His defensive versatility is exactly what modern NBA teams need, especially in playoff situations where you're facing teams with multiple offensive weapons. Jones can guard Steph Curry one possession, switch on to Kevin Durant the next possession, and then help on Nikola Jokic in the post. That kind of versatility is invaluable, and it's precisely what the Lakers are missing right now. Now, let's talk about what a potential trade package might look like, because this is where things get complicated. The Pelicans aren't just going to give away Herb Jones for nothing. He's a young player on a reasonable contract with multiple years of team control remaining. That makes him extremely valuable, and New Orleans is going to want significant assets in return. According to analysis from Lake Show Life's Tyler Watts, it would take everything the Lakers have to entice the Pelicans to make this deal happen. We're talking about giving up Dalton Knecht, our 2031 first-round draft pick, and a 2032 second-round pick. That's a substantial package, and it's not a decision to be made lightly. Let me address the Dalton Knecht situation because I know this is going to be controversial among Lakers fans. Knecht was our first-round pick, a player we were excited about, someone who showed flashes of potential. But here's the reality. He's struggled to get out of his rookie slump. He hasn't been able to carve out consistent playing time, and he hasn't shown enough to suggest he's going to be a major contributor on a championship team right now. When you're in win-now mode with LeBron James, you can't afford to wait for young players to develop. You need guys who can contribute immediately, who can help you win playoff games this season. Knecht has value as a trade asset, and if including him in a package gets us Herb Jones, that's a move you have to seriously consider. The financial structure of this proposed trade is actually quite clever. By including Maxi Kleber's $11 million expiring contract along with K&E CHT, the Lakers would actually save $11 million expiring contract along with Knecht. The Lakers would actually save $11 million expiring contract along with K&E CHT. The Lakers would actually save $1 million in the deal. That might not sound like much, but it opens up roster flexibility to potentially sign a free agent and round out the rotation. Managing the salary cap is always a delicate balance, especially for a team like the Lakers that's already operating above the luxury tax threshold. Finding ways to upgrade your roster while maintaining financial flexibility is the kind of creative maneuvering that championship organizations need to execute. Let's project what the Lakers' rotation would look like with Herb Jones on the roster. Imagine starting lineups with LeBron, AD, and Jones, providing elite two-way versatility. Jones could take on the toughest defensive assignment every night, allowing LeBron to conserve energy for offense and playmaking. Anthony Davis could roam more freely as a help defender, using his shot-blocking ability to protect the rim without having to worry as much about perimeter breakdowns. Our defensive scheme would become significantly more versatile, with the ability to switch everything and pressure the ball without creating exploitable mismatches. That's the kind of defensive foundation you need to compete in 7-game playoff series against the best teams in the Western Conference. Offensively, Jones wouldn't be asked to do too much, which is actually perfect for our system. He's a willing cutter. He moves well without the ball. He's a solid corner three-point shooter when left open, and he makes the right basketball plays. We don't need another high-usage player who's going to take shots away from LeBron and AD. What we need is someone who understands his role, executes it at a high level, and doesn't try to do too much. Jones fits that description perfectly, and his unselfish style of play would mesh seamlessly with what we're trying to accomplish offensively. I want to address the cost of this trade because giving up a 2031 first-round pick is a significant commitment. Some fans might argue that's too far into the future, that we're mortgaging assets we might need down the road. But here's my counter-argument. We have LeBron James right now. We have Anthony Davis right now, and we have a legitimate chance to compete for a championship right now. You can't let future draft picks prevent you from maximizing your current championship window. Championships are incredibly hard to win in the NBA, and when you have an opportunity to upgrade your roster in a meaningful way, you have to take it. The 2031 first-round pick could end up being a rotation player, or it could be a bust. Herb Jones is a known commodity who would immediately improve our team. That's a trade-off worth making. Let me also address the competitive landscape in the Western Conference, because understanding what we're up against makes this trade even more critical. The Denver Nuggets have Nikola Jokic and a system that's proven to win championships. The Oklahoma City Thunder are young, athletic, and loaded with defensive talent. The Minnesota Timberwolves have one of the best defenses in the league. The Phoenix Suns have 3 superstars when healthy. These are the teams we're competing against, and they all have multiple elite two-way players. If we want to beat them in a 7-game series, we need to match their versatility and defensive intensity. Herb Jones gives us that, and suddenly we're not just hoping to survive playoff series, we're equipped to win them. The psychological impact of adding a player like Jones can't be overlooked either. When you make a significant trade that clearly addresses your biggest weakness, it sends a message to your locker room that management is committed to winning. It tells LeBron and AD that the organization is going all in to compete for a championship. It energizes the entire roster and creates a sense of urgency and belief that we can actually accomplish something special. Those intangible factors matter, especially for veteran teams that understand the window of opportunity doesn't stay open forever. Now, I want to be realistic about the challenges of making this trade happen. The Lakers aren't the only team that will be interested in Herb Jones once he becomes available. Other contenders will be making calls to New Orleans, offering their own packages of players and picks. The Pelicans will have options, and they'll be looking for the best possible return. This is where Rob Pelinka's relationships and negotiating skills become crucial. He needs to make the most compelling offer, convince New Orleans that our package is the best they're going to get, and close the deal before another team swoops in. That requires aggressive pursuit, creative deal structuring, and the willingness to meet New Orleans' asking price. There's also the question of whether the Pelicans are actually ready to trade Herb Jones. He's been one of their best players, he's young, and he's on a team-friendly contract. Even in a rebuild scenario, you could argue that Jones is exactly the type of player you want to keep and build around. However, if New Orleans decides they need to completely tear it down and accumulate as many draft assets as possible, Jones becomes expendable. That's the scenario the Lakers are hoping for, and all indications suggest it's becoming more likely with each passing loss for the Pelicans. Let me paint you a picture of what Lakers basketball could look like in the playoffs with Herb Jones on the roster. Game 7 of the Western Conference Finals, we're facing a team with multiple elite scorers, and the game is on the line. Jones is guarding their best player, making everything difficult, forcing tough shots, and disrupting their offensive rhythm. LeBron is orchestrating the offense, picking his spots, and making winning plays. AD is dominating in the paint, protecting the rim, and grabbing crucial rebounds. That's the formula for championship basketball, and Jones is a critical piece of that puzzle. Without him, we're vulnerable to getting exploited by athletic, versatile offenses. But what Jones does is raise our floor and our ceiling. He makes us significantly better defensively, he gives us more lineup flexibility, and he provides the kind of two-way impact that every championship team needs. Share this video with fellow Lakers fans so everyone stays informed about what could be a franchise-altering trade. Follow me on social media for real-time updates and additional content. Remember, this is your home for everything Lakers, and I'll be here breaking down every development as we approach the trade deadline. Let's go, Lakers. Let's get this championship. Peace.